obviously be so massive. We just don't have one. Compact bone. Compact bone refers to the solid, really dense bone that when you think of bone, you think of this really solid stuff that's on the edges and stuff like that, on the ends. Just solid bone, that's called compact bone. Right? It's this stuff. Spongy bone, if you look at this long bone that's split, you can see at both ends, it looks kind of spongy. Right? It's got all this, stuff there. It looks like a sponge. Right? So that's at the end. That's spongy bone. All the long bones in our body would look like this. Compact in the center and spongy at the end. Diaphysis and epiphysis. All long bones have a diaphysis, and the diaphysis just means the shaft. So I have my right hand around the diaphysis of this cow's femur, the shaft of the bone. Here's a human femur. See, it has a very long diaphysis. This one's probably this big for me. Okay, this came from a fairly tall person. So it has a diaphysis, it has a shaft, just longer than this one. Right? So that's the shaft. The word epiphyses, now epi means upon. So long bones have epiphyses. That basically means the ends of the bones. So there's a proximal epiphysis and a distal. So here and here. So the epiphyses are the ends of the bones. The shaft or the diaphysis is in between. So if you look at this cow's femur, obviously, it has an epiphysis here, and one down here, and the diaphysis is in the middle. And the spongy bone, where is it? Well, it's more at the epiphyseal end of the bones, at the ends. So that's pretty simple so far, so good, right? By the way, this is all in your book. I'm not making this up. Put this guy here, I'm going to need him again in a second. The words periosteum and endosteum. Those refer to membranes, which are found in bone. Now, this is obviously dead, dried, old, fixed bone, so you wouldn't see these structures on a bone like this, but I got to describe it to you. The periosteum in live bone, in the bones in your body, the outside of the bone is lined with a membrane called the periosteum, which extends up to sort of onto the ends as well. But if you look at a human bone, or this cow femur, this cow femur is one, if you look at this human bone, you'll see that there's kind of lots of areas like pits and grooves and holes and rough spots on the bone. Periosteum covers the bone. But what's attached to bone? Well, muscle. Right? Well, how is the muscle attached to bone? Well, by dense regular connective tissue called tendons. We talked about that already. But how does that work? How does it work? Okay, Dave, wait a second. So the tendon just is attached somehow, real strongly, onto the bone. That's where the periosteum comes in. The dense regular connective tissue that forms tendons and the outer tough membrane which lines these bones, the periosteum, they in essence sort of weave together. And the tendon sort of, I don't know, intercalates or interdigitates or whatever, but it just forms, like a solid kind of just weaves into it. And when you do the catch, you'll be surprised how hard it is to pull a muscle away from a bone. The tendons become an integral part of the periosteum. So the periosteum is the outer membrane on the bones that tendons use as an attachment point. The endosteum